As this Zero Hedge article says, cryptos tumble after New York Attorney General accuses Bitfinex of massive fraud, loss of $850 million. These absolute morons continuously disrupt the ability for us to break free from the banking system and the government. It's absolutely sickening. We have seen in recent days, crypto has been doing pretty good. Institutional investors are getting back in. And let me just refresh this and see where it's at as we do this. Oh, it's back up to 5250 or something like that. It was just at almost 5,700 US dollars per Bitcoin. And it's absolutely infuriating because these things, these entities called online centrally planned exchanges, which are essentially like banks, are hurting the market. Go figure, a centralized entity is going to hurt a decentralized market and do whatever they can to disrupt the ability for us to, continuously move towards a free, individualistic society outside of this massive, what some might call the deep state and financial cartel. As this article goes into, New York's Attorney General alleged the operator of the Bitfinex cryptocurrency trading platform and the issuer of the Tether stablecoin lost $850 million and subsequently used funds for affiliated stablecoin operator Tether, i.e. engaged in commingling of client and corporate funds to secretly cover the shortfall. The news sparked a sharp sell-off of the cryptocurrency space, where Bitfinex has long been rumored to be a mechanism to prop up various virtual currencies. By the way, just cutting away for a second, we saw like a 5% drop in the price of Bitcoin in about 1 minute. So just putting that into perspective, that is a massive drop. That's billions of dollars in 1 minute sold off because of these absolutely criminal, psychotic frauds that are running these banking system type exchanges. And then people blame cryptocurrency for it. No, this is a problem of online exchanges that are centralized, that people trust with their money like they trust with the banks, which might even be more dangerous than the banks, honestly. But anyway, let's go into this a little bit further. A judge in Manhattan issued an order barring Bitfinex or Ifinex Inc., which operates the famous Bitfinex cryptocurrency exchange and owns Tether Limited, from money from Tether's reserves to Bitfinex's bank accounts. A little bit of a typo there. Halt any dividends or other distributions to executives and turn over documents and information, New York Attorney General Letitia James said Thursday in a statement. Tether is one of the world's most valuable cryptocurrencies and is used in a significant share of trades involving Bitcoin. The New York Attorney General said Ifinex had been commingling client and corporate funds to cover up the missing funds, which occurred in mid-2018 and hadn't been disclosed publicly. Continuing on here, it says, and I quote, New York State has led the way in requiring virtual currency businesses to operate according to the law, James said. We will continue to stand up for investors and seek justice on their behalf when misled or cheated by any of these companies. Great! The government, which works with the banking system and legal tender laws to print everyone into complete poverty, is going to help us. Again, more excuses to bring in an organized crime racket to save us from an organized crime racket. The only difference is this organized crime racket that's coming in to help us has killed hundreds of millions of people, guys. This is so ridiculous, and it goes back to the black and white mentality of people that it must be one thing or the other, one kind of enslavement or the other. According to the Wall Street Journal, as it says, the Attorney General's findings emerged from an investigation into cryptocurrency exchanges that it launched in 2018 and is continuing. A report in September warned that many exchanges lacked basic safeguards and left consumers vulnerable to exploitation by market manipulators. And it says here, the Attorney General said Bitfinex's problems began in 2018 when it handed over $850 million to third-party payment processor Crypto Capital Corp to handle customers' withdrawal requests. Over the months that followed, Panama-based Crypto Capital failed to process the orders, the Attorney General said. By November of that year, According to people close to the Attorney General's investigation, Bitfinex determined that it had permanently lost access to the $850 million to hide the missing funds. Bitfinex and Tether engaged in a series of maneuvers that drained Tether's reserves, the people said. Tether has frequently been accused of facilitating cryptocurrency price manipulation. It is allegedly backed 1-to-1 by US dollars, yet the firm has never released a public audit showing it has the reserves to back the coins in circulation, leading many to question whether the funds even exist. And let me just break away for a moment. They did release an audit, quote unquote, but they audited themselves, quote unquote, and then they claimed most of their money was in like a couple bank accounts, meaning that they put like hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars into like random bank accounts. Like, how ridiculous is that? Tether is one of the most dangerous things to the entire crypto world. It's a good idea to start with, with taxable transactions and everything. And it was a way to protect ourselves from getting taxed to death on our crypto earnings, capital gains. But then with the incoming of like laws like the tax code 1030, I believe, it was an amendment on it in January 2018, led to them completely taxing every transaction, though we'll get into that in a moment. As the Wall Street Journal notes as it continues, Tether has marketed the coin as a way to get both the safety of the dollar and speed and anonymity of a digital currency. Its market value has risen steadily over the past 2 years to $2.8 billion from about $10 million at the beginning of 2017. Since then, it has become a major source of liquidity in the cryptocurrency market, and about 80% of all Bitcoin trading is done via Tether, according to data from research site CryptoCompare. And this wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for this fraudulent extortion of the state and people being scared of having their money stolen, the money that they worked hard for. As it continues, some have speculated that Tether is how various agent accounts have been quietly laundering money into cryptocurrencies, which they use to circumvent firewalls and deposit funds offshores. Oh yeah, government and banks, they're going to talk about money laundering. That's rich. That's cute. As it continues. Needless to say, $850 million would represent a major portion of Tether's reserves. Tether currently claims on its website that the coins it issues are backed by reserves that include currency, cash, equivalents, and other assets and receivables. According to the Wall Street Journal's Paula Vigna, the language was altered in March. It previously claimed the reserves were 100% in currency. Many Bitcoin advocates have repeatedly said that Tether represents a negative overhang over the cryptocurrency space and have been quietly hoping for a crackdown on both the exchange and stablecoin, which would result in far more stability in the space, which as seen in the chart above, tends to be greatly affected by any adverse report involving Tether. And you see this document right here. And anyway, I have to say, this is just more evidence of not just Tether and Bitfinex, but the government and the banking system scaring people to death who don't want to be impoverished and indebted, taking their money instead out of cryptocurrency into Tether instead of the US dollar, because if they put it into the US dollar, they're worried they're going to get extorted. But not to worry, folks. Let's look at the Credit Karma survey that came out last year, which showed that I think it was 0.05% of all people surveyed reported their cryptocurrency earnings to the IRS. Now, I'm not going to advocate anything here. You can make your own decisions in your life. But taxation is theft, it's extortion, and people are scared because people are more impoverished and indebted than ever, and they don't want to be extorted more. Look at Canada. Carbon tax? Seriously, a carbon tax, a tax on everything, with inflation going sky high and people thinking the minimum wage needs to be increased, which will lead to more unemployment and more casualties in small businesses while propping up major monopolies. And people don't blame the real culprits, government and central banks, and the banking system, which aids the central banks in printing currency, as well as the governments with fractional reserve lending. This is a travesty, and I'm so absolutely sick of seeing these morons manipulate the cryptocurrency market. Long term, I'm optimistic. We're good. But right now, we continuously have to battle with these criminals ripping our funds apart, ripping our financial freedom apart. The greatest thing that has ever existed in breaking free from the central banking system is a decentralized cryptocurrency technology and the fundamentally useful blockchain infrastructure technology to replace governments and banks. Not the centrally planned cashless society being unrolled by governments and banks, obviously by fiat, by legal tender, but no. The cryptocurrencies that are probably decentralized that we can actually utilize to break free from that system, and most notably, the privacy-oriented coins, which will really deep six the state who cannot comprehend breaking that technology as the free market moves faster than the state. All the time, forever, always. So this is going to be a temporary problem. Tether needs to go down, and it's going to be like Mount Gox, unfortunately, and it's sad. But look, do not blame cryptocurrency for what online exchanges are doing. The online exchanges are the ones that are creating these problems. Don't put your money in an exchange. Then you are dependent on the exchange rather than independently and financially stable and responsible over your own money. So that is the bottom line here, guys. As these organized crime cartels continue to crack down, there's different kinds of organized crime. There's government, there's banks, there's central banks, there's entities that try to make take advantage of people. And then as far as hiding money goes, I don't really care about that, but it's the idea that, banks are cracking down on people for hiding money in places from being stolen, which anyone in, as far as defense goes, if they're not completely complacent, might want to do. And then the banks are like the biggest money launderers in the world, and they're heavily indebted to the Cayman Islands, and I wonder why that is. And they're making desperation moves to crack down on this system right now and doing whatever they can to unroll their centrally planned, technocratic superstate cashless societies to completely enslave the populace. And they're concerned about people breaking free from that, and no matter how much the bears try to crush crypto, it always ends up going back up eventually. And we're in a long bear market, but I'm very, very bullish long term. We are in its infancy, and we've got a lot of great times ahead of us. Remember that. Don't forget it. We are free individuals. Government cannot give us freedom. They can only take it away from us. We must stand up as free individuals responsible for our own lives and our own surroundings and our own wealth, our own finances, and whatever comes with it. Our own defense. More important now than ever. Anyways, decentralize everything, rule yourself. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.